Did they forget about us? The Minnesota Vikings. Panel yesterday talked about the Eagles and the Packers and the Buccaneers and the Lions, even through injuries. Could Minnesota max out as the 1 seed? Also, which way you leaning on Caleb Williams? Thunder Bucks tonight in Vegas. The Cup is in the building. And the result of the year.
1v1 against Yannick! Oh my gosh, they do it!
The Catamounts atop the mountains, NCAA champions. This is my story of the year, people. Oh, can't wait to talk about this.
Magic of the Cup.
Cardiac cat.
Vikings 30, Bears 12. 7 straight wins now for Minnesota, and with Detroit's loss and with Detroit's injuries, are things getting interesting in the NFC? They're tied for the division lead with 3 to go. Season finale is Vikings at Lions. Oh, yeah. Also, home field's in play in the NFC because it's a 3-way tie with Philadelphia. Minnesota has been sneaky. They've been dominant. They get their punts blocked by faces and still recover to win the game. And still, you people, don't give them credit. Let's see if anybody here is willing to say the division and the NFC goes through Minnesota. Bill Barnwell around the horn to you.
I am not willing to say that, Tony, because there's one person on the Lions other teams cannot injure. And it is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator. And what he did the first time these two teams played was extremely impressive. He was Jared Goff was 10 of 11 for 164 and 2 touchdowns under pressure. And that was with Ben Johnson creating schemes that were taking advantage of those Vikings pressure packages that have flummoxed so many teams, including the Bears this season. So if Ben Johnson's still there and the Lions are playing a home weekend team, which I believe they are, I do think they're still a better team.
Very fine answer from our Bill Barnwell. Not once really mentioning the Minnesota Vikings. Frank Isola around the horn to you.
I'll give you the answer that you wanted. Because of that defense and they could run the ball, they certainly can win this division. Think about what happened last night. Sam Darnold's been one of the best stories, if not the best individual story in the NFL this season. He has 16 incompletions, and a lot of them were just because he was inaccurate, and you're playing indoors. Do you really want to go to Philadelphia in January and play against that defense in the cold weather? So I think they have all the ingredients. It starts with running the ball and defense. They certainly can do it. And let's face it, Detroit, that defense absolutely decimated. Minnesota's in a great position, not only the division, but even home field advantage.
Marcel Louis Jacques around the horn to you.
Yeah, I think that they are better suited to play at their best right now than the Detroit Lions are, just because of the overall health of the team. The one thing, though, that I think could hold them back is their remaining schedule. They got to go to Seattle, which just got stomped on by the Green Bay Packers in Sunday Night Football last week. You know Seattle's going to be motivated to come out. Then they've got to play the Packers, and they've got to play the Lions to end the season. That's a brutal 3-game stretch here as you're trying to clinch that number 1 seed. So the Lions, it's significantly easier. That might be the hang-up there, but I think the Vikings are the better team right now, you know, contextually with their health, although you do have to watch right tackle Brian O'Neill, knee injury last night, something to monitor, especially with Christian Darrisaw out for the season.
Tim Calishaw around the horn to you.
Well, Seattle might be motivated to play better, but they might also just get stomped again by a really good team, because Minnesota's a really good team, and they are this close, Tony, to me picking them to go past Detroit. But the thing I can't get past is Sam Darnold still missing. He misses Justin Jefferson and receivers on some throws that a high-quality quarterback should make. He hit some of them, and obviously they hit plenty of them last night, but that was the Bears. I do think playing Green Bay and then going at Detroit, I still think the schedule favors the Lions.
Bill Barnwell, back to you. Talk to me about the Vikings. What are you liking? What's giving you pause?
Loving the defense. They're creating a ton of pressure against everyone who is not the Detroit Lions. And they ran the ball effectively last night. Aaron Jones had those fumbling issues earlier this season. They've kind of gone away. But again, can you trust Sam Darnold through 4 rounds of playoffs unless they are at home throughout the entire postseason? So to me, I think they need the 1 seed to have a great shot at making it to the
Last
Super Bowl.
word on this, Frank Isola.
All right, their defense has a takeaway in 14 straight games. That's one thing. While everyone's beating up on Sam Darnold, Jefferson also dropped a short touchdown pass. So let's not completely beat up on the guy. And their record is 12-2. Just like Jalen Hurts, they're not going to win because of him. He's got to be part of it. I think the same is true of Sam Darnold in Minnesota, and both those teams
scored 30 points yesterday with that defense. I think they'll feel pretty good about that. More from this game. Troy Aikman on the game call said something about Caleb Williams I want to get your take on. Said, Williams looks defeated. Numbers weren't terrible. And for the season, he's at 17.5 TD interception ratio. Hasn't thrown a pick in 2 months. But the Bears have lost every one of those games. So you factor in the losses, and body language last night was a mix of pain and pained. Tim Cowlishaw, what do you see there with Caleb Williams? And are you wondering whether this Bears incompetence has damaged him a little bit?
As somebody who covered all 11 of Troy Aikman's rookie losses and all 0 of his wins, I think he knows what pain and frustration looks like on the face of a rookie quarterback. Caleb Williams, I just feel like he's all over the map right now, and that's a product of taking so many hits. So they had that graphic last night of David Carr took the most hits ever for a rookie. How much did that impact what his career did not become? You don't want that to happen to Caleb Williams. And he seems now to be throwing passes under pressure before he's under pressure. He thinks it's coming. It's not there yet, and he's bouncing the ball in the ground. So it's just been a tough ride with the different changes and injuries occasionally at receiver. I think he'll get better, but he's got a long way to go.
Louis-Jacques?
Yeah, Caleb's still about, I think it's 18 sacks away from tying David Carr's record of 76 sacks as a rookie. I don't think he's going to get that, but he did look exhausted last night, right? Like mentally and physically just exhausted from this experience. And that falls on the Bears because the talent is there. I actually kind of like what they did getting Rome Odunze. It showed a willingness to give him as much talent as possible right away. But now they have to protect him because they have been a monument of instability throughout his rookie season, firing the coach, firing the OC. Like, this is a mess, and he is playing like it. So they have to hit on this next hire because they have to instill a little stability into his life, into his career, or they're going to risk mentally losing him before his rookie contract is over.
But even saying that, you go back to the draft when they took a talented wide receiver in the top 10 with their second top 10 pick, and you say that was still a good decision, where some are saying there had to be a lineman knowing everything. Go ahead, Marcel.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying that it worked out and it's the best decision possible, but I can appreciate the mentality. I can appreciate the attacking mindset of saying, like, we want to surround you with talent. We've seen so many rookie quarterbacks go out there with the yeehaw gang and fail. They're saying, we don't want you to do that. We're at least going to get you people to throw
Frank
to.
Isola, around the horn of you.
Yeah, and Tim referenced Troy Aikman, and what they did with Troy Aikman, they surrounded him with a good offensive line, a running back in Emmitt Smith, then having Michael Irvin was great, but also a terrific head coach. Another thing that Troy Aikman mentioned during that telecast was throwing out this idea of trading for Kyle Shanahan. Who knows if that's going to happen, but the point is the next hire they make is an important one, and you better get a guy that's aligned with that quarterback. You invested a lot to get him. There are other quarterbacks available that you didn't take. This is going to be a big offseason for the Bears, and it starts with the head coach.
Bill, back to you here on Caleb Williams. Has anything you've seen this year changed how you felt about him going in?
I'm nervous because he looks like the guy we saw at USC last year in a bad way. When they changed OC in midseason, next 2 weeks, he got the ball at the second quickest rate of any quarterback in football. Last night, in week 15, second slowest of any quarterback in football. He's holding onto the ball. He's doing the hero ball stuff that you want to see your quarterback do sometimes. He's doing it all of the time. That shows me he doesn't trust the offense, doesn't trust the people around him. But that is on Caleb Williams for not functioning in the structure of the offense.
Two quarterbacks mentioned in this discussion. It's a pretty wide space between the two. David Carr, his rookie year, and Troy Aikman, his rookie year. We know how each of their careers went. The decisions made this offseason for coaching may go a long way in telling the story for Caleb Williams. Last night, the other game, Falcons 15, Raiders 9. An early touchdown pass for Kirk Cousins was his first in 4 games. Full game stats, 11 of 17, 112 yards, that touch, and an interception. Raheem Morris, after the game, seemed to leave the door open to a QB change, said he's going to look at everything, and that they have everybody on roster for a reason. Marcel, how do you hear that? Is Morris's ambivalence here helping or hurting?
I think it's hurting because this decision should have been made probably about 2 weeks ago. I saw Michael Penix in training camp. They had a joint practice with the Dolphins. The kid's got a live arm. Like, he can throw the ball. He just needs game reps and to feel comfortable in the situation. So while instead of letting Kirk Cousins go 4 straight games, 151 pass attempts without a passing touchdown, all while throwing that amount of interceptions, you could have been bringing your rookie up to speed, because now it might be too little too late. I still think they should make the move, but you're putting him in a situation where you've got 3 games in a gotta-have-it scenario in every single game. Like, we've seen how teams have been cautious with their rookies, or we've been urging teams to be cautious with rookies. This is not cautious with your rookie. So I think it's too little too late, but it is about time, though, to get Kirk Cousins.
About time, but
back to
too
that
late,
sideline.
says Marcel, to make a move. Tim Callister, how about you?
Tony, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. The Falcons are in a cockfight. What are they clinging to here with Kirk Cousins? No touchdowns and 8 interceptions through those 4 losses. He comes back last night, 1 touchdown. Did the Raiders even know Drake London was on the field? Did you see that highlight you just showed? Wide open, 112 yards. A year ago at this time, all I know is Michael Penix was lighting up a Texas defense that was a really good defense to get his team to the national championship. You telling me he can't come in and help them beat the Giants this week, mostly handing the ball to Bijan Robinson, which is all Cousins did last night anyway. Get him in now. Yes, should have done it 2 weeks ago, but still do it now. Something fresh for this run. They have the tiebreaker on Tampa Bay. They could still get a little fortunate and win this division, but they need some life.
Bill Barnwell, how do you see it?
What teams do is more important than what they say. In weeks past, the Falcons were not limiting Kirk Cousins. They did last night. They had 24 first and 10 snaps yesterday. Tony, do you know how many times they threw the ball on those 24 times? They threw it 1 time. 23 runs, 1 pass. And the pass was an interception from Kirk Cousins. When you are hiding your quarterback because you're so terrified he's going to throw the football, that is the time
So
you need
that's
to make a
it.
change.
You
So
would
I
also make a
yeah.
move. With 3 games remaining in the season, 1 game back of division and playoff spot, you'd make a move to your rookie QB. And Frank Isola after the horn.
Yeah, these guys are insane. They're not the GM that gave him that contract. They're not Raheem Morris, who the wins and losses go on your. You've been a head coach now twice. You've never made the playoffs. You're not going to go with the more experienced guy. And Tim, you've been around too long. Because a guy played well in a bowl game, you think you should stick him in now in December as they're trying to make the playoff? You don't believe that. You don't believe that. I know you don't.
I'll take it.
You were there for all those Troy Aikman losses.
Cousins.
You don't believe that.
Taking a break. Fire still next. In a game that sounds like the $1 Million Man's finishing move or Jim Cantori's crypto play, Thunderbucks. OKC and Milwaukee. Superhuman Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Giannis Antetokounmpo to get here to this NBA Cup final. $515,000 for each of the winners, $206,000 for the losers. Giannis says it's not about the money, it's about the cup. Tim, what you buy, what you sell?
I'm buying this is the Thunder's night. You know, Tony, they were the #1 seed in the West last year. They didn't make it past the second round, so they never really got to showcase everything they can do. But this is their opportunity in a different way to do that. They're the best defensive team in virtually every category you want. They're going to win tonight.
Marcel Louis-Jacques.
Speaking of OKC's being best in the specific defensive category, they are the best paint defense team in the NBA right now, going against the #1 paint scorer in the NBA in Giannis Antetokounmpo. My eyes are right under the basket, Tony. I can't wait to see this.
Frank Isola.
Go ask the guys at the end of the bench if the money means something to them. They're going to say, Giannis, you don't want to make all that money, but we do. But Giannis, he's engaged, which is important. He wants to win this. But for Oklahoma City, you're going to see a lot of them over the next 5 to 10 years because they got a great team. They got a ton of draft picks. So it's a great way to introduce the country to a terrific team.
Bill Barnwell.
I buy that the NBA's plan has worked here. I mean, we care about this game, or otherwise mostly meaningless game here in the middle of December. They've marketed it well. It's not $1 million dream necessarily, but a $515,000 dream for these players. They care about it, and this is a matchup where both teams have something to play for. For the Thunder, they can prove we're taking a step forward. For the Bucks, we can prove we still are hanging on.
Tim's got OKC. Bill, how about you?
Bucks are going to hit some threes. That's how you beat the Thunder. I think the Bucks take it.
Frank Isola.
Thunder are going to win tonight.
Marcel Louis-Jacques.
Thunder are going to win.
Fire Cell 2, this video here. Any lip readers among the panel or in the audience? Many think Jonathan Kraft is calling out the play call. Yes, the play calling is terrible. Patriots play caller is Alex Van Pelt. This, while the microscope on Jerod Mayo's first year as coach is enhancing, do the Krafts think Jerod Mayo is where he should be in year one? Bill Barnwell, what you buy, what you sell?
I buy that there's concerns, but I'm more concerned about the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. They were the best defense in football second half of last year, missing multiple starters. They're actually worse by EPA per play on defense right now than they are on offense, and that was supposed to be Jerod Mayo's specialty. So I know some great coaches struggle in their first year, but if Mayo's not getting the defense going, I don't think he's going to fix the offense.
Frank Isola.
Hold Mayo. I'm not blaming it on him. If you went back and watched that Patriot documentary, the Krafts made themselves out to be the football savants of that franchise, and Bill Belichick was the one along for the ride. It ain't that easy without that coach and that quarterback. They're finding out the hard way.
Louis Jacques.
You better give him some more time. This was your man's. There was no interview process, no vetting process. You tapped him as the coach in waiting. You better give him more than one season. This is ridiculous if they're even considering firing him. Look, I know he's got a lot to learn, but how did you not know that when you hired a guy with no head coaching experience? Like, this is on you. If you want to fire him next year, fire him next year, but at least let him try to play his process out.
Yeah, I'm with Frank on this one. I'm familiar with the concept of the more trophies an owner wins, the less he thinks the head coach had to do with it. That's happened to other places than New England, but it might have happened here. Yeah, Mayo definitely deserves at least a second or third year. Give him some players.
Yeah.
Buy or sell 3, Florida State coach Mike Norvell. It's been reported as a donation. It's been reported as a restructuring of his deal. Maybe you guys have a different word for it. But what's being reported is $4.5 million of his next year earnings, instead of going to him, going to Florida State football's NIL fund. Marcel, buy or sell this?
Yeah, because throwing NIL money at the transfer portal worked super well for Florida State this year, didn't it? How's that quarterback go? How's that rebuilt defensive line? I guess, like, if you have to take some money away from Mike Norvell after this kind of a disappointing season, but I hope they understand that they better scout these players, not just pay them.
Tim Kalishaw?
I think it's a smart move. We're told that these teams need about a $20 million a year budget now in their NILs to compete at the highest level. And if Florida State's money isn't at that point, Mike Norvell's helping them get there. I go.
Okay. Bill Barnwell?
Mike Norvell is giving up $4.5 million, but he can make it back if they win 9 games each of the next 6 seasons, which, by the way, adds up to $4.5 million, $750 per year. That's a pay cut where I come from, Tony. If you're going to have guaranteed money and making it back if you win a bunch of games, that is a pay cut.
And Frank Isola.
Oh, man, let's cut the guy a little slack. He was undefeated last year, and they didn't put him in the college football playoff. And you got Bill Belichick in the ACC. You got Deion Sanders, a great former Florida State Seminole, who's now at Colorado. He's hearing all this stuff. Of course, he's doing it to save his job, but to also help his job. I give Tim $20 before every show. Look how well it's working out today. Good investment.
Marcel, Louis Jacques, Bill Barnwell, thank you for your time today. Tim Kalishaw, Frank Isola, that's our showdown.
Here we go again.
Next.
Wow.
Tim Kalishaw, Frank Isola, good luck in showdown. PGA Live showdown tonight for $10 million in crypto. Rory and Scheffler versus DeChambeau and Koepka. It's a showdown. They're calling it the showdown. Tim, show it down.
Tony, nothing captures the imagination like 4 fabulously wealthy golfers playing for $10 million in crypto. Really pulls at the heartstrings. Normally I'd say everybody's pulling for the PGA, but actually Bryson DeChambeau is probably the most popular of these 4 golfers, the way he's raised his profile through YouTube the last 2 years.
Frank Isola?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure it is the feel-good story of the holiday season, but look at the size of Koepka and DeChambeau. At a time when Tiger Woods came along and everyone was really fit, those 2 guys are the size of linebackers. I know Tim thinks he looks like them, but that's not true. But it'll be an interesting.
So your analysis that they have big bodies and muscles? Okay, great.
And they'll hit the ball far. I'll be interested.
Showdown 2, the golden goal that won the NCAA championship.
Kissel in the foot race with Manford. Kissel may win it, he does! Can he win the national championship? 1v1 against Yannick! Oh my gosh, they do it! Don't call him Cinderella! You can call him national champs!
Maximilian Kissel, the goal. Dalen Cuff, the call. Vermont the NCAA championship. Unranked and unbelievable. Frank, what's the most amazing part?
Wunderbar. The goal scorers from Germany. Both teams have a lot of international players, but this is the feel-good story of the season. Vermont is a ski school. They've never won a championship in any team sport. All year long, all they ever do was score late goals. They scored the late tying goal. What a story. Unbelievable.
This is a great story. 2 Cinderellas making the Division I title game. I love the fact that the golden goal was scored to prevent us from having to deal with penalty kicks. Don't want to see a game end that way. Perfect ending.
Golden
great
goal
run for the
is
Cats.
Spectacular, and you said it, Frank. I don't know if you were joking or not. This is a school that's never won a national championship, of course.
Amazing.
They're only champions, individuals in skiing, which is incredible. I don't think this is the best story of the week. I think this is the best story of the year. Jack Maine, NBC5 local, saying Vermont doesn't have a professional sports team. No NBA, no NFL, no WNBA, no NHL, no MLB, no women's hockey, no soccer. They have the Catamounts. And now they're national champions. Unbelievable. Frank Isola, take the FaceTime.
All right, let me start out by giving a stat that Tony will like. Did you know that the Celtics have 3 wins in Washington and the Wizards only have 2? That's what you like. I'll give you a stat that I don't like. Milwaukee-Orlando, the last 2 minutes of the game took 20 minutes. I did a Knicks-Net game. The fourth quarter was 50 minutes. When everyone says, what's wrong with sports? You want to know what? It takes too long. We have to shorten these games. Like my FaceTime. I got the producer telling me I'm done. I'm out.
Frank, taking the time to talk about time.